Hello guys, welcome back to GPU Tester. Today we're going to be comparing the RX 6800 XT against the RTX 3060 12GB again. You can see the specifications of each of the card on the screen right now, and you'll also see the specifications of the test bench I'll be using. First game I have on the list is Call of Duty Modern Warfare. We're going to be using the extreme quality preset at 1440p. At 1440p, the 3060 manages an average FPS of 55 and the 6800 XT doubles that at 116 FPS. The 1% lows on the 3060 are 26 compared to 61 on the RX 6800 XT. That is actually more than double. It's a multiplayer title, so I would not suggest playing at these settings on the 3060, as I believe getting under 60 FPS is a bit of a handicap when you're playing against real players. The 6800 XT does not have such a problem and runs the game really well. Next game we have on our list is Counter-Strike 2. The story is quite different here, as the 3060 gets an average FPS of 152 compared to 356 on the RX 6800 XT. That is again more than 100% worth a difference, but an average of 150 FPS is more than enough for 99% of the people who will be playing this game. So if you're looking for a card that can play Counter-Strike 2, both these cards will do just fine. Next game on the list is Hogwarts Legacy. We are playing at the high preset at 1440p. In Hogwarts Legacy, the 3060 manages an average FPS of 50 compared to 93 on the RX 6800 XT. The 1% lows are 36 and 68 respectively. It's a single player title, so under 60 FPS is not a deal breaker. I'd personally not play at these settings with the 3060 and would rather prefer turning on DLSS, because I've said this in other videos as well. DLSS at 1440p in most games looks really good. Next game we have is Dying Light 2. We're going to be playing at 1440p using the high quality preset. In Dying Light 2, the RTX 3060 gets an average FPS of 45, whereas the 6800 XT gets an average FPS of 104. That is once again more than 100% of difference, and the same story follows in the 1% lows as well, where the 3060 gets 1% lows of 38 and the 6800 XT gets 1% lows of 77. Next game we have on our list is Cyberpunk 2077. We are playing at the high preset at 1440p. The high preset gives us 86 FPS on the RX 6800 XT and 44 FPS on the 3060 12GB. That is actually quite similar to Dying Light 2 on the 3060. However, it's quite a bit lower on the 6800 XT compared to Dying Light 2, where it got over 100 FPS average. Still, there is nearly 100% gap between both of them, and considering the cost of the 6800 XT, I think it's a really good deal when you take value for money. Next game we have on our list is God of War. The 6800 XT gets an average FPS of 115, with the 1% lows coming in at 93. You get a buttery smooth experience with the 6800 XT, but I cannot say the same about the 3060. And I cannot even suggest turning on DLSS with God of War, because since God of War does not use an updated version of DLSS, it doesn't look very great. So for the best experience, you should try lowering your settings to medium. Next game on the list is Spider-Man Miles Morales. In Miles Morales, the 3060 gets an average FPS of 77 compared to 116 on the 6800 XT. That is quite similar to the FPS we got when we benchmarked Spider-Man, which makes sense since both of these games use the same engine and almost the same map. Both cards give a good experience, and DLSS is also present in this game. If you're wondering why I do not mention FSR when I mention DLSS, that's because FSR in my opinion does not match the quality of DLSS. Also, I mention DLSS and I suggest turning it on only when it looks good.
Hey, the app's saying there's a helicopter flying around like it's possessed.
Next game on the list is Uncharted 4. In Uncharted 4, you get an average FPS of 116 on the 6800 XT and 62 on the 3060. The 1% lows on the 3060 are 51 and 94 on the 6800 XT. The game is a single player title, so you can enjoy it at 50 FPS still if you want a 60 FPS, but you can lower down the settings a little to hit that 60 FPS mark. The 6800 XT, however, keeps proving how good of a deal it is when you compare the prices of both these cards.
See any way to get to Sam? Not yet. We're running on the road.
Next game on the list is Hitman 3. In Hitman, the 6800 XT gets an average FPS of 161 compared to the 78 on the RTX 3060. The 1% lows are 64 on the 3060 and 122 on the 6800 XT.
That flyer they started handing out to the homeless really got me forward. Yeah.
I think someone is trying to help them out. There's a building where human go. I think they help.
Next game on the list is Red Dead Redemption 2. In RDR2, the average FPS the 3060 gets is 51 compared to 95 on the 6800 XT. One thing I did notice though is if you look at the frame time graph on the 6800 XT, it's quite a lot spikier compared to 3060. However, you do not feel those spikes when you play the game. So it seems to be an issue with how it's being reported, because while gaming you cannot really feel it. Overall, this game is quite slow paced, so I don't mind having it lower than 60 FPS. Next game on the list is Watch Dogs Legion. In Watch Dogs, you get an average FPS of 54 on the 3060 compared to 96 on the 6800 XT. The 1% lows come in at 46 for the 3060 and 81 for the 6800 XT. There are very few games where the 3060 will give you a perfect 60 plus experience all of the time without any tips, and this is also not one of these games. The 6800 XT has not fallen below that threshold for even a single game yet. The final game we'll be playing today is Horizon Zero Dawn. We're playing at 1440p at the Ultra preset. In this game, the 3060 gets an average FPS of 66 compared to 127 on the RX 6800 XT. The 1% lows come in at 60 and 97 for the both of them. That will wrap up our benchmark. I hope you enjoyed the video. Do let me know down below what you thought of it, and I'll catch you in the next one.